Ook and Gluck, Kung Fu Cavemen from the Future. For most people who read the book growing up, it was a harmless graphic novel packed with slapstick humor and absurd adventure, exactly what it was intended to be. Yet over a decade later, it would be pulled from classrooms, scrubbed from shelves, and disavowed by its own author. Dav Pilkey is a respected name in the world of children's literature, responsible for beloved characters like Captain Underpants and Dogman. Most of his work plays on the book within a book concept, following stories written from the imagination of in-universe characters. There's an authentic charm to his style that's resonated with millions. Misspelled words, scribbled out mistakes, and imperfect drawings. Readers find that it feels more personal towards the target demographic, like a peer is writing it and anyone can be creative. Despite his popularity though, his work has drawn its share of criticism since the beginning. His first publication was in 1987, titled World War I. While the format was different, there were definitely hints of what his style would eventually evolve into. It had similar character design and scratchy hand-drawn artwork. His next books received praise in the following years, but he wasn't exactly a household name, until 1997 when Dave published his first major hit, The Adventures of Captain Underpants. The book was amusing for younger audiences who enjoyed the immature campiness of the characters. It was overtly childish because Pilkey actually created Captain Underpants when he was around 8 years old. I was constantly getting in trouble for being the class clown, so my teacher sent me out into the hallway to punish me. It was there in the hall that I began drawing Captain Underpants. Soon I was making my own comic books about him. A lot of parents and teachers appreciated how accessible it was, that it made reading enjoyable for even the most reluctant students, but many adults felt differently. Some found the toilet humor to be inappropriate and devoid of any educational value, featuring characters like Dr. Diaper. They thought this kind of comedy was encouraging immaturity in the youth and had no place in a school. Others criticized it for the rebellious nature of the main characters, how they often mocked educators and disrespected authority. The series has been named in the American Library Association's Most Challenged Books. By 2001, Dave had released 4 subsequent entries, and as his following grew, the series received more and more pushback. But he always stood by his stories, holding his position that they were created as humorous entertainment and didn't need some overarching moral lesson.
How could people be so offended by a series that contains no profanity, no sex, no nudity, no drugs, no smoking, no alcohol, no guns, and no more violence than a children's superhero cartoon?
In fact, his main goal was to make sure his girlfriend at the time found them funny. As long as she laughed, that was all the assurance he needed, which is why he didn't slow down. Not only did he continue the Captain Underpants series, but he also launched 2 spin-offs in the following decade. The first one being Super Diaper Baby in 2002, and the next would be The Adventures of Ook and Gluck. But this time, when controversy was ignited, he wouldn't stand behind the novel. It was released on August 10th, 2010, and the story follows 2 cavemen, Ook and Gluck Jones, as they embark on a hero's journey through time. And compared to a lot of Pilkey's other work, it actually has a strong lesson at the end. While it doesn't feature characters from the Captain Underpants comic universe, this one does share the same creators, 4th graders named George and Harold. It's set in 500,001 BC, Caveland, Ohio, where Ook and Gluck go on adventures and get themselves into precarious situations. The antagonist, Chief Gopper suffers as a consequence of their mischief, always having his efforts undone. When a plan to marry Ook's sister goes wrong, he ends up meeting his descendant from thousands of years in the future, J.P. Gopper, CEO of the world's most evil corporation. He explains that the present day has run out of resources like trees and oil, so he built a time machine to extract them from the past. This gives the chief the idea to join forces with him and help enslave all the cave people in his time period. After the villains successfully take over the past, they bring Ook and Gluck to the future to torture them. Ook and Gluck manage to escape their captors and end up hiding out in a school of Kung Fu. The school is run by a wise sensei named Master Wong, and the illustrations in this part start to hint at why some readers took issue. Master Wong vows to train them so they can return and save their friends and family. Over the next 7 years, they become proficient in Kung Fu and attain wisdom from Wong. Ook and Gluck return to the past and free everyone. When they come face to face with the Goppernoppers, rather than fighting, they simply trick them into having an egotistical argument about who's the better man. It ends in the CEO killing his ancestor, which erases him from existence. With its comically over-the-top storyline and a message about humility and non-violence, it hardly seemed like the kind of book that would cause any problems. And for a long time, it didn't. For 11 years, it was read and enjoyed by kids, teachers, and parents. Aside from some of the name-calling and of course toilet humor, it was widely praised for the story, illustrations with fliporamas, and its underlying themes. There was a sequel teased at the end for Ook and Gluck Jr., but it was never officially released, so the book remained a one-off standalone adventure in Pilkey's catalog. But as the COVID-19 pandemic broke out in 2020, the US experienced a major surge in anti-Asian racism. Terms like Kung Flu were circulating wildly during this time, coinciding with a notable rise in reported hate crimes toward Asian communities. Amidst the heightened national awareness, more and more media was being cracked down on, including multiple Dr. Seuss books that were pulled for depicting Asian characters in stereotypical ways, which is why in early 2021 the adventures of Ook and Gluck was put under the spotlight. Billy Kim, a Korean-American father of 2 children, launched a Change.org petition stating that Scholastic needed to apologize for publishing a children's book filled with racist imagery. He pointed out that the Asian characters, Master Wong and his daughter, were drawn with slits for eyes and wore traditional Chinese outfits. Additionally, Wong embodied the tired archetype of the wise old mentor, speaking almost exclusively in vague quotes and Chinese proverbs. And by the end of the story, the Kung Fu master is saved by the 2 non-Asian protagonists. He believed that the book was perpetuating stereotypes that were damaging to the Asian community, especially in a time like that. Kim and almost 300 other supporters were able to get the message across, and Dav Pilkey issued a public apology to his YouTube channel. The Adventures of Ook and Gluck, Kung Fu Cavemen from the Future was intended to showcase diversity, equality, and non-violent conflict resolution. I hope that you, my readers, will forgive me and learn from my mistake that even unintentional and passive stereotypes and racism are harmful to everyone. Pilkey had the book removed from all Scholastic websites and arranged for the return of all inventory from its retail partners, schools, and libraries.
Pilkey says he is determined to make this a teachable moment, he and his wife pledging to donate that book's advance and royalties to multiple charities, including organizations that help stop Asian hatred.
But some disagreed with the decision. A lot of people have connected with the book since its release and didn't want to see it removed, while others just simply felt this was another case of people being too sensitive and the ban was unwarranted, stating that Scholastic should be ashamed for stopping publication of the book.
Also that he was wearing a tang coat, right? A traditional Chinese jacket. What should he wear? Right? This is a Kung Fu master, you would expect him to be wearing that kind of coat.
There was even a counter Change.org petition to bring Ook and Gluck back, which garnered more signatures than the opposing side. The Adventures of Ook and Gluck remains out of circulation and will likely never return. While some commend Pilkey for taking action, it's been pointed out that they basically blew the whistle on themselves. It's not like there were masses calling for its cancellation, but sometimes one voice can go a long way.